Hello everyone, let's discuss today's The Hindu editorial page. The first article is The Voice of a Gaza Under Occupation. In this article, the writer says that the conflict in Gaza has been a long and contentious one, with Palestinians fighting for their rights and freedom. The senior leader of Hamas, Musa Abu Marzouk, stated that the Israelis have tried every path to achieve these rights, but they have not been allowed in. He added that in earlier conflicts, Israel has waged wars outside their borders, making this the first time Palestinians are crossing borders and fighting in their historical land. The Israeli response to the Hamas attack has been to order the evacuation of the northern half of Gaza, enforce it through a blockade, cut off food, water and electricity, and mass the killing of 3,000,000 troops on Gaza's border. The objective is to occupy the northern zone and expand space for new settlements. Palestinians see this as a continuation of the way Israel came into existence on May 14, 1948, when 56,000 Arabs inhabited the Mandate territory of Palestine. The ideological motivation, particularly of the current Israeli leadership, has repeatedly equated Palestinians with Nazis who should be eliminated. This is a repetition of what Vladimir Jabotinsky, a respected precursor in right-wing Zionism, said in 1923. Zionism is a colonizing adventure and therefore stands or falls by the question of armed force. He predicted that Palestinians would not leave their land unless confronted by a wall of Jewish bayonets, so that a new race, proud, generous, and cruel, shall arise. This perception has been reinforced by decades of connivance by world powers. Innumerable United Nations Security Council (UNSC) resolutions have remained unimplemented, each reiterating earlier ones and some even indicating new goalposts. Resolution 2334 of December 2016, for example, outlawed all settlement activity and sought to explain away the guilt of the victims. A departure from the UNSC route was attempted in September 2020 by the Abraham Agreements, seeking to end radicalization and conflict while ignoring the causes of both. An expectation of expanding the ambition of both sides has not materialized. In conclusion, the conflict in Gaza has been a long and contentious one, with Palestinians fighting for their rights and freedom. The Israeli response to the Hamas attack has been to order the evacuation of the northern half of Gaza, enforce it through a blockade, cut off food, water and electricity. The next article is from the Hindu Business Line, that is, India needs both e-vehicles and biofuels. This article is important for clean environment. In this article, the writer says that the Delhi government has launched a stringent drive against pollution in vehicles, including banning petrol and diesel vehicles older than 15 years and 10 years, promoting electric vehicles, and deploying nearly 400 teams on the city's roads to check pollution certificates and prevent overage cars. The most far-reaching move is the push for widespread adoption of electric vehicles, with the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways announcing a policy of EV 30 at 2030, where by 2030, 30% of newly registered private cars, 40% of buses, 70% of commercial vehicles, and 80% of two- and three-wheelers will be electric vehicles. However, the target to switch to electric vehicles within the next decade is difficult due to the consumer-driven nature of the vehicle market. Other challenges include affordability concerns stemming from high battery costs, limited facilities for building a robust battery manufacturing ecosystem, lack of a consistent policy framework for electric vehicles, and high charging times and inadequate availability of charging stations. The introduction of electric vehicles needs to be implemented in a graded fashion alongside other feasible options, such as replacing fossil fuels with biofuels, which can not only counter environmental pollution, but also be a more affordable alternative to rapid adoption. Biofuels derived from waste and farm residue can also re-energize the rural economy and increase farmers' incomes. To achieve India's net zero and decarbonization goals, the government recommends pragmatic introduction of electric vehicles on roads, changes in building bylaws, making charging infrastructure compulsory for large real estate projects, and promoting greater use of biofuels. The next article is Manipur needs a platform for Samvad. In this article, the writer says that India's intellectual tradition is characterized by the point of view of the opponent, Purvapaksha, being taken seriously, as one needs to understand the opposing viewpoint better to win an argument. Samvad, dialogue, is a major component of this long-standing tradition, while coercion and violence are outcomes of a monologue possessed by those who own the truth. This trend can be witnessed all over the globe, across histories, and today it is found among conflicting nationalities, religious communities, or ethnicity, whether it is in Israel, Nu, or Manipur. As Gaza bleeds, there is no objective statement of truth that can explain the large-scale violence and human tragedy that is engulfing the country. While some find fault with the initial point of ignorance by Hamas, others are concerned about the quantity of destruction that Palestinians have faced. The challenge is equally tough for the third party, as it seems to get influenced by one or the other warring groups. The Manipur crisis has been running for over 5 months now, and we are nowhere near to the truth of how and why the violence happened and which is still continuing. While many civil society bodies on either side are carried away by the violent turn of events, there are others stuck with propounding their larger narratives and demolishing the narratives of the opponent. Each of the warring groups seems to possess contradicting truths. The Editors Guild of India faced stiff resistance from the Métis, who alleged that the guild has put out a biased report that favors the Kukis. Subsequently, the guild had to seek the Supreme Court of India's help to neutralize the first information reports led by the Manipur police. Since then, the pace of all other fact-finding committees seems to have slowed down, with the larger picture of truth still to materialize. There have been few truths about some specific cases, such as the parading of 2 Kuki women, the kidnapping and killing of 2 Métis students, the arrest of a former cadre of the banned People's Liberation Army, PLA, of Manipur, and the arrest of a Kuki militant following a bomb blast at a multi-ethnic Kwakta village. Several Manipur-based drug traffickers have been arrested in Mizoram, Assam, Tripura, and Delhi, pointing to the spread of illegal activities and the large-scale involvement of people in the trade. However, the crisis is far from over. The politics driven by the hardliners, whose narratives show the opposite camps as the perpetrators of violence, often project the protagonist as the victim and justify violent acts out of self-defense. The next article is Renewed Risks. Fresh global turmoil clouds the economic outlook for rest of 2023-24. In this article, the writer says that the Reserve Bank of India, RBI, has maintained its 6.5% GDP growth projection for the year, despite risks from geopolitical tensions, economic fragmentation, volatile financial markets, and an uneven monsoon. The central bank's governor has signaled new uncertainties over the past week, including the Israel-Hamas conflict and concerns about implications on global food, fuel, and fertilizer supplies. The RBI chief also pointed to rising US bond yields, mixed data points, and signals from central banks around the world. The Finance Ministry, while acknowledging global uncertainties have weakened, seems largely sanguine about the economy's outlook. Its monthly economic review asserts that growth remains on track. Inflation is eased after a temporary seasonal surge in July-August. Consumption demand is strengthening, and investment demand is firming up. The weak foreign trade picture is expected to recover, and industrial job creation prospects are high for the next 2 quarters. However, the government would do well to drill deeper into consumption and hiring trends, as the last quarter saw a sharp slump in small car sales, weak rural demand, and IT firms scaling down growth and hiring hopes.